everybody, I'm Merisu the Art Sheep, and thank you so much for checking out this video. And today I am drawing an original piece that I am entitling La fanciulle delle Quattro Stagioni. And in case I butchered that, it would be
Le fanciulle delle Quattro Stagioni.
Yeah, that. So, for those who do not know, I, once upon a time, back in 2016, created a concept that I called the Maidens of the Four Seasons. They would be four maidens that controlled the powers of the Four Seasons. And no, this did not come from Ruby. It was actually inspired by the Leap Pad. Does anyone know what the Leap Pad is? It was this, electronic binder, and you opened it up, and then you put a book inside of it, and with the book would come a cartridge, and you plug in the cartridge, and you use the pen, and you would get games and stuff. And my favorite one was the classical music one, and it taught me so much about classical music, and also introduced me to Vivaldi and the Four Seasons. And the picture was Vivaldi conducting four different women playing the Four Seasons, and each one of them were dressed as if they were four of the Four Seasons. And ever since then, I wanted to create something similar to that. And in 2020, actually, it was 2016, August 22nd, 2016 to be precise, so I made a mistake with that date. I created Primavera, Estate, and Inverno. Not in that order, actually. I think Inverno was first, and then Primavera, and then Estate. And I never got around to doing Autumn because, I don't know, screw her. I guess I got bored. I didn't think I was talented enough to do it because I knew her outfit would involve a bunch of leaves. And it was just like, nah, I can't do it. I can't do it at all. And I just decided to give up on it. And then, in 2020... I brought it back, and I finally drew Autunno, but I never drew Vivaldi. I just forgot about my conductor, because there was originally supposed to be a conductor, but I never got around to him. And now, in 2026, I finally bring the drawing back to life, drawing the four maidens as ballerinas, and I finally have a conductor, too, named Antonio Fontana. So the entire premise of this illustration or story, I don't know if it's actually going to be a story. I hope it would be. It probably wouldn't be a manga graphic novel like Revolution Full Color would be, but probably more of an actual novel. Having this written as a novel and then and getting a YA novel and then getting an audiobook would be the coolest thing. That would be my biggest dream, but who knows, it probably won't happen. But anyway, the entire premise of the story that I created when I was a little girl is basically Antonio Vivaldi, once upon a time, was actually someone who fought back against evil spirits from the, let's just call it the Dark Realm for now, because I don't got any ideas for that. It was originally, I think, called the Shadow Realm or something, I don't know. And it was the realm where, evil demons, spirits came, and Vivaldi would conduct the Four Seasons, which personified as four maidens, to fight back and keep balance in the world. And throughout time, the Vivaldi family has been dedicating their lives to this task, this very important task, and if they don't, then the entire world is doomed. So, in present day, and by present day, I mean the 90s, the latest member of the Vivaldi family, Michelangelo Vivaldi, had previously been conducting his sisters to do the task of the four maidens, but they had since passed away in battle, so he had to find more. So he adopted four daughters. Not all at once, slowly throughout the years, and his plan was to make them take on the role of the four maidens. But over the years, he just fell in love with them, and he did not want to see his little girls go off into combat, so he decided to just let it be. But eventually they did find out, and they decided to willingly become the four maidens, and since then they have been fighting evil with their father conducting them. And no, the person who I'm drawing in this illustration is not their father. He's way too young. He's only 15. because their dad had recently passed away due to the stress and weight of being the conductor. It takes a lot of energy and all that. He passed away. So now the girls have to find a new conductor. And they ended up finding a young boy from their Inverno school whose name is Antonio Fontana, and they have to slowly try to convince him to be the conductor, because without a conductor they can't fight, and if they can't fight, then complete chaos will come to the entire world. So yeah, that's the plot, that's the premise. Each of the girls by day are music performers. They do ballet and also play musical instruments, and by night they fight against demons, spirits, and witches, all while Antonio would conduct them. That is the premise. Is it very much? No, but I love it, and it's something that has been very fond to my heart all this time. I don't think I talked about the premise actually that much in the 2020 illustration, because I think I was just like taking it as it comes. I do know that I drew reference sheets for them, and I was planning on doing Antonio all the way back then, but I never got around to it. It wasn't until now. And like I said, it's probably not gonna become of anything big or real, but it's my thing, and I'm very proud of it. And I do like it, and I like this illustration. But then again, I also said that I liked the last illustration, and before that I said I liked the previous illustrations that I made of Primavera and Inverno and Estate. And now looking back at them, they're all crap. So I might look back at this drawing and think it's crap too. Just the way I am. I remember when I drew the K-pop Demon Hunter drawing, I was so proud and happy of it. It's like, it looks so pretty. I did such a good job. It was so much work. I'm glad I finished. Yay, it looks beautiful. Oh my goodness, it looks ugly. Why did I think this was good? Why? There's some drawings, a few drawings, very few drawings that I look back with great fondness. And then there are ever ones, most of them, I look back at them and I'm like, was I drunk? I must have been drunk or something, because it's just like, this is not good. I must have been intoxicated. I've never drank alcohol a day in my life, but I don't know. Somebody must have hit me with the sheep hallucination gas or something, because it just doesn't look good. But nonetheless, it's life, folks. And speaking of life, this illustration was a lot more time consuming than I thought. It was very fun. I had a lot of fun working on it. I definitely don't regret any choices that I made, because most of the choices that I did regret, I completely do. Because this snowflake pattern I'm working on in Inverno's dress, I'll hate it, so I'll completely redo it. And I also made a few mistakes, like, if you're wondering why you're just seeing Antonio's eyes and nothing else, it's because I accidentally realized I drew Vivaldi. Antonio, I'm gonna keep getting his name mixed up. His last name's not Vivaldi, it's, Vivaldi. It's Fontana, because he's not part of the family. Unlike the girls. And the girls, they are a part of the family, but they were adopted. That's why they all look different. And Verne was from Russia. Otano was from India. Estate was from Jamaica. And Primavera was from China. Because I think the original concept, like all the way back in 2016, I thought of making them all Italian, but when I got to Estate, I thought it would look really visually interesting if she had dark skin and bright blonde gold hair, and I really liked that. And then when it came around to doing Otano, I decided to give her tannish copperish skin, so I just decided to make them from different parts of the world, because yeah, it would just be more visually interesting, because I wanted this drawing. Maximum visual appeal is what I was going for, folks, and I think I achieved it. But yeah, I ended up drawing Antonio on the same layer as Inverne, and I didn't realize it, so I ended up deleting it. Which, that is one reason why I think the clipstudiopaint detail information always says such a longer time. Because when I noticed I deleted the layer that Antonio was on, it was like, oh my goodness, too late, I couldn't go back. So I had to completely redraw it, but I didn't want to redraw it on the video recording, so I just did it in private. And, yeah, we'll just pretend we didn't do it. And, yeah, no one is the wiser. No one was aware. It was such a blast making these ballerina outfits. I decided to give each one a unique style that coordinated with their season. And a different style of tutu, too. So, for the winter, Inverne, I gave her a platter tutu. For autumn, I gave her a pancake-style tutu. And originally, Estate was supposed to have a bell tutu, but I will completely nuke it into the Shadow Realm because I wasn't happy with it. It didn't really scream the type of personality that Summer Estate was. I'm gonna get their own name mixed up. And then for Primavera, I gave her a romantic tutu because that just really fit in with the spring style. But yeah, for Estate, she's a very bold, energetic, much more tomboyish than the rest of the girls. She's very girly still. She still has the same feminine charm that the Ever ones do, but it is definitely more wild and energetic because that's just what I associate with Summer. So I completely get rid of her tutu later on, and I give her a completely different outfit, but I'll talk more about that when it comes along. For now, I'm just adding the details to these girls' tutus, and it was so fun just doing each of the details and trying to work on them. I wanted to make them look detailed, but not too detailed, if you know what I mean, because at the time I was like, maybe, who knows, maybe this might become a manga or something. Like I said, I probably wouldn't make it into a manga. I'd probably be more likely to make it into, like a novel, like a YA novel, because that just seems more like it would suit the story, in my opinion. I don't know why. It could be because I'm also just reading a lot of YA novels. So, here's a little funny thing. Right now I'm just drawing Estate, so I'll go on a little rant. I love listening to audiobooks while I draw, because it's gotten to the point where I don't want to listen to a whole bunch of YouTube videos 24/7, because I am trying to tone down on how much YouTube videos I just fill my head with, because some of the stuff is just like, I don't really need to know this information, it's not important. So I just don't want to bother. Plus, I'm trying to get away from listening to things with too much profanity in it, because that's just not my cup of tea, and a lot of the YouTubers I do listen to do cuss like sailors, so I try to mute it out when I watch it, but it just doesn't happen. So I'm trying to listen to a lot more audiobooks. And also that, I just really like audiobooks in general. So I have been listening to several ones, and I've been really enjoying some of them. The hardest part is that, if you noticed, I said YA books. So most of the books that I like to read are romance books, but not just slice of life romance. If I want slice of life, then I'll just watch a slice of life anime. But if I'm like listening to a book, I want some more adventure, I want some excitement. But the problem is most of the ones in the genre, like, you know, romance fantasy, romance sci-fi, romance dystopian, blah 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 blah, it's like there's so much smut in them. And I hate it. If you like them, fine, cool, whatever, but I don't like them. I don't like all that smut. It's just like, oh my goodness, what the heck? And it's like, I can't. And then the plots aren't even that much more, like, it's not like the plots are any smarter. Like, the ones that come to my mind, according to Nora, because he has, like, done deep research into all of these female romantasy books. Fourth Wing, that was one of them. Court of Thorn and Roses. I don't know if that one has as much smut in it as Fourth Wing does, but I know it definitely does have some. And then, what was the other one? There was one more. Fourth Wing, the Cordiform of Roses. I don't know, it'll come to me later, but I even read one of them by mistake. I read this book by Sophie Lark called Anastasia, which is based off the urban legend of Sir Anastasia, and it was like, I didn't know how much it would have in it, and then when I got to the middle parts of where it was, I was like, what am I listening to? It wasn't as bad as some, like, it wasn't 50 Shades of Grey, thank God, but it was just like, no. Just no. So because I don't like all that stuff, I usually end up getting teenage YA books, because it's like, if the plots aren't even that much more, like, the plots, it's not like the plots are more mature in the adult ones. They're just as stupid as the YA books sometimes. So I might as, and it's not like I'm reading them, so I'm just listening to them, so it's not like I'm reading at a child's level. So it's just like I rather read the YA ones, the ones that don't have all the smut in them. And right now, I'm reading the Lunar Chronicle series, which is very fun, and if I like it very much, I might even do a fan art of it, because that's how much I'm actually liking it. I've also read the one that was a singular one, and that was called A Forgery of Roses. It was actually kind of fun. The Winter's Kiss. No, it was called The Winter's Curse series by Maria Rozuski. And I read the Legend series by Maria Liu. That one wasn't as good. And then of course I read the Hunger Games series. And then I'm trying to also read Ever. By read I mean listen, because they're audiobooks. Listen to Ever, like classical literature too. So like Dracula, The Tenet of Wildfell, and then I want to go read the Odyssey and the Count of Monte Cristo and the complete work of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So that's also on my reading list too. And I've been having a lot of fun just listening to them as I read, and such good stories. Yeah, I know I probably should be reading them, but I don't got time to actually read a book. By the time it becomes night time, I'm way too tired. I'm way too pooped. The sheep cannot do it. So just we listen to audiobooks as we draw. It's very entertaining. And I very much enjoy it. And like I said, I might even do fan art of the Lunar Chronicle series, because I've been enjoying it that much. And yeah, enough of audiobooks. Back to this drawing. So, as you can see, I gave Primavera a nice romantic tutu. And I really do like how hers looked. I probably like her tutu and Autono's tutu the best. And then for... I forgot his name already. Antonio. For Antonio, I just gave him a shirt, vest, and pants. And I wanted to keep his colors very, very similar to the girls. I already knew he was going to have red hair, because even though he's not the original Antonio Vivaldi, I was just like, I want him to be as close as possible. So I gave him bright red hair, and I gave him the name Antonio. And I gave him a design that I knew I would absolutely love when I was a teenager girl. Like, I really like those kind of designs when I was a kid. And I gave him a blue sweater vest to fit in with Inverne, and green, like, I don't know what you call it, necktie, string tie, gem, I don't know. I made it green for aesthetic, so... there. And the shirt is yellow for Autono, because Autono's color, even though it's kind of orange, it technically is yellow. And like I said, when I was getting to Estate, I was just really not liking the bell tutu. It looks nice, it just doesn't look like her. It's just like, it's a little too fancy in the way that it's not supposed to be, if that makes sense. I wanted to be more kind of naturey, more natural. So I ended up going for a completely different vibe in the end, and I'm very grateful that I changed it. And then for Autono, I wanted to keep I wanted to keep each of their colors, like I said, in the veins of yellow for autunno, blue for inverne, red for primavera, and green for estate. But I wanted to give them a little bit of side colors too, so I didn't want them to have like just yellow. So for autunno, I put a lot of orange, just red in there. I also put a little bit of blue and a little bit of purplish pink, but you won't see that until later. And then for inverne, I knew that hers would mostly be all blue, but I was really trying to struggle to figure out, okay, where do I put the ever colors? Because I want a little bit more colors. I don't want it to be completely monotone, because all of them have a little bit of colors. For primavera, it's very easy to give her ever types of colors because she's got all flowers and stuff like that, so you can find all kinds of flowers that are matching in the same color vein. And then for estate, I like giving her sunflowers, so that's a big tie-in with yellow. And I also give her a little bit of purple, which is kind of, it's not blue, but it's, you know, close to blue, so that always helps too. But outside of that, I wasn't really... the problem with estate is I don't like to give her flowers because primavera has flowers, and I don't like to give her leaves because that's autunno's things, and, well, there is no snow in summer, so no worry there. So it's kind of like, okay, what do I give her? And I guess I gave her a lot of clovers because I associate that with summertime. I should have given her a few more green plants, but like I said, it was a real balance to try to figure out what to put in there. It was just really fun though too, because I was really taking this drawing not sure where I was going to go, just kind of throwing things to the wall, seeing what sticks. And I ended up looking up references to the different Barbie movies. So there are 4 Barbie movies, no, 3. There's Barbie and the Nutcracker, which was the first Barbie movie I ever had, and I pretty much owned everything of it. And then Barbie Swan Lake, and I own most of the older Barbie movies, now that I'm thinking of it. And Barbie 12 Dancing Princesses and the Red Shoes, which I do not own that one. That one's more newer, and I don't like it as much. But the 12 Dancing Princesses, Swan Lake, and Nutcracker are bangers. I absolutely love them. And, yeah, I used them for inspiration. And everything I used for inspiration, especially with estate's dress, as you can see, I've made it more of kind of like a leotard with this, like, silky sheer part over it. I based that off of Lindsay Sterling's music video of Carol of Bells, which is kind of funny because that's an entirely winter-themed video because it's Christmas and all that, but... I used it for the inspiration for Summer's outfit, and I really do like it. It's definitely much more fitting to her more athletic, wild, naturey persona. It's not like with winter, because of the ice crystals and stuff like that, you get a lot of ornate designs. Same thing with autunno. Estate is definitely more, I don't want to say minimalist because she still does have like a lot of flowers, but it's definitely not to the same level of detail as the Everfree because that's just not her style. And I really do like how it blends in. And like I said, it was just really a treat. The style that I was trying to go for was a style that was reminiscent of the artist Yume, who's a very amazing illustrator. Check her out, Twitter, Instagram. And she was her work was a big inspiration for this piece. And I ended up drawing the stage off screen. I'm sorry. I ended up looking up reference. I just typed in stage and tried to see what I came up with. I was almost tempted to use a 3D model, but I didn't. In the end, I just drew my own, but I used this picture as reference, and I knew I wanted everything to look like it was very elegant, but also kind of very naturey too. And I think the one thing I probably regret that I might actually go back and change before I upload this drawing, and if I do, you will see it, in the updated version, you just won't see in the Speedpaint, is I want to add a little bit more nature. So I think I'm going to add like some leaves and some like snow and flowers like growing on the stage, just because I think it will really add in the vibe. I might even add it in at the end, like I did with the the Kyla, not Kyla, but the Magician of the 16 Mirrors. I ended up adding one more scene at the very end because I realized it was just like, I really want to go back and make these changes, and I was just gonna do it in secret, but it did not look right. So I ended up recording it and putting it at the end, so I might do it for this. And then for these backgrounds of this very background of the stage, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a sky, and for different times of the day. So for the Primavera side, you got springtime morning, and then you've got a summertime day, and then for autumn, you got autumn time sunset, and for winter, you got a winter night. And yeah, it was really fun. I even made my own gradients for the spring and the autumn one, and the winter one too, actually, now that I'm thinking of it, because I wanted them to be perfect. This curtain, I end up making red. I'm gonna change that later on to a purple color, because I realized once I end up keeping Antonio hidden here, and because of that, it wasn't occurring to me that his hair is red. So it's probably not the best if I have the curtain red. And then for the background, I knew I was going to do a tree, and then each panel would have the tree at different points. And the type of tree I ended up picking I wanted to pick a really good one and this is where it gets really funny. So the type of tree I ended up going for is a Chinese crabapple tree. No, wait, I think it's just regular crabapple tree. I forget if they grow in China or not. But I ended up going with a crabapple tree. And the reason why that's funny is because the blossom that's on it is the flower that I associate with Masato Yoshiko, the character from Revolution Full Color. And the reason why I picked this one is I wanted a tree that had blossoms in the spring, fruit in the summertime, and autumn foliage in, autumn time, and then got a lot of icicles during the winter time. That wasn't really hard to do, because obviously anything can be covered in snow and get icicles. It doesn't take much. But for I don't even know why I said icicles. I'm just not realizing I forgot to put icicles on my tree. I put the snow, but I didn't put the icicles. Oh no. Yay, whatever. We'll fix it at the end. I'm gonna go back and do a little more details work, because there are some things that I realized at the very end that I ended up forgetting. But yeah, this drawing was definitely more funner and relaxing, I think, than the last time I drew the Four Sisters. The biggest problem with it is that it was just time consuming. And my brother even said it was like, it really is almost like drawing 4 different speed paints. And yeah, like, I never really thought of it that way, but it is true. Because I got 4, technically in this one, 5 different characters, and each one of them was so time consuming. And like, Estate was more simpler, but I had to completely redo her design because I just didn't like what I originally came up with. And I think out of all of them, the fastest one was Autono, because I did have a leaf brush and then a design brush for the details. Hers was really a piece of cake because the silhouette was very simple, and I didn't really add much to her outside of the leaves, which was a leaf brush. The hardest part was that I used my own. I had to make a never leaf brush. I already had one, which I used in my Tanjiro and Nezuko drawing from last year. But I didn't have any, damn it. I didn't have any, it wasn't quite good enough because I didn't have any smaller leaf brush, so I ended up making another one. So that was probably the longest part about hers. And then for Primavera, her dress was pretty easy too, because I had a lot of flower brushes that definitely lent way to, making the entire process easier. If I had to make each of the flowers by hand, it would have definitely been a lot harder, but I wasn't gonna do that because it was like, that's the biggest thing when you make a drawing, is it really is challenge to figure out, okay, what should I make using brushes and what should I draw completely from scratch, because you definitely don't want to make it look cheap. And if you use too many brushes, you're gonna make your drawing look cheap and unprofessional. But at the same time, you definitely don't want to waste a whole bunch of time drawing something and it's a detail that's so small you can barely notice. And I have learned as I've grown up, there is a lot of artists that I love to use assets. I've seen Yume use assets. I've seen the artist Rosary use assets. I've seen ever people use assets. I've seen ever few artists caught in using AI, which, okay, I mean, I wouldn't do that, but whatever. But yeah, they definitely use a lot of assets, and I think that it's something that I always do try to draw on my own, but there are some times when it's just like, you have to pick your battles, and so I used assets. Is it cheating? Is it not cheating? I don't know. I think the fact that so many people can use assets is why people, for the longest time, had the opinion that digital art was not art. But nowadays, we're in the idea where people are saying, oh, digital art is art, but AI art isn't art, which, to be fair, I'm on the same opinion, because I don't think AI art is art, because it's not you doing the art, it's the AI. I mean, yeah, sometimes artists use it to help them, and they like did the original one, so that's a little bit different, but when it's just someone who has no artistic skills whatsoever doing it, it's just like, And I think a lot of people who are like very pro AI, they'll say, oh, you're just upset because we can now draw too and we don't need you and your job is becoming obsolete. It's like, well, first of all, anybody's going to be sad if their job that they put all their time and passion is obsolete, but I'm saying you're not an artist because you're not an artist. You need to draw it yourself. I believe anything that you do takes time, hard work, and passion. I mean, granted, you're probably not putting a whole bunch of passion if you're like working in the sewers and stuff, but it still takes hard work and effort, and it's something that you and only you can do. And with art, I think it just is something that requires human thought and idea, and AI cannot do that. So no. And I also believe that it's something that cannot be obtained instantly, because everybody knows. I mean, how many times have we seen it in cartoons where somebody tries to make a deal to get their, to get a shortcut in life because they don't want to take the long route because they just want the results and they don't want to work for it, and then it ends up horribly bad. And the lesson is that they have to realize that being good at things takes time, takes practice. You need to actually work at it. You need to work hard. And I don't know, that's what art does to me. But yeah, there is always that battle when you are an artist of thinking smarter, not harder, because there are some things that I've done and it's just like, was there a simpler way to do this? And then I find out later that yes, there was. And one way is using assets, but you definitely, someone who is not an artist will just throw any asset down onto the canvas and say, voila, I'm done, because it looks nice. An artist is someone who takes the time to learn how to properly use them, because they have an artistic brain. And you're not born with it. It takes practice. You need to exercise it. It's a muscle that you need to train. Such. So it definitely still takes work. But using it's definitely a lot easier. I think it was like in Kimetsu no Yaiba, because I'm always like, I want to see 2D animation, but actually Kimetsu no Yaiba does use a lot of 3D animation. But the thing is I've never said I want to see zero 3D animation. My biggest problem with 3D animation is, one, people only use it and nothing else, and two, they use it in such a boring way. Like, I've been watching The Amazing Digital Circus, and it's my third time watching it, and the one thing that I really like about it is that the animation is actually pretty good, and it's actually nice that this indie show is actually using 3D animation in a more creative way than Disney does. It's just funny. Oh, that's another thing I changed on her outfit. Enough was the animation, back to the drawing. Is I changed the big sunflower with a citrus lemon because I had the fruit in the background, so I thought some citrus fruit would add in the very summery vibe, and I do like the lemon. It looks very nice. It is a cute lemon. Definitely matches the summery, bright, energetic aesthetic of her. I tried to add a few more lemons to her outfit, but it didn't work, so I added some to the ribbons on her shoes and the ribbons on her hands. I also gave her some clover tattoos. I realized that I did tattoos, like markings on Primavera's face and Estate's arm and legs, but I didn't do anything on Averno or on Autono, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna go back and fix that or not. I'm not sure if it is something to fix, because just like with the overusing of assets, that's definitely one thing you need to do as an artist, is you need to figure out how much detail do I want to put in, because there's a fine line of nice, beautiful detail and a cluttered mess. I don't want a cluttered mess. So I am going to think about it. If anything, I'll try to add it, and if it looks nice, then I will add them, and if not, then I just won't do anything. Because maybe the beauty in their outfits are in that they are more simplistic. And I did give Autono some earrings, leaf earrings, and for for Inverno, I gave her a winter snowflake in her hair, so maybe that's the parts that separate them more from the others, is the fact that they have some, like, accessories. Although, Estate does have the lemons on her wrist and on her ballet slippers. I'm not sure if ballet slipper ribbons go up that far. I was doing some research and I did see some, but I didn't see any that weren't outside of an illustration, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm not an expert on ballet. I used to do ballet, actually, a long time ago as a kid, but only, like, in the junior class, and it lasted for about 5 seconds, because I wanted to do my own thing. I didn't like doing what the teachers told me to. I was in one recital, though, and that was fun. I got to wear a very pretty tutu, and my mommy recorded video of me, and it was very nice. No, wait, my dad recorded. My mom just watched, but they were in the audience, and they liked me. Shortly after, I got sick. I think it was pink eye. My mom thought it might have been from the makeup, because that was my first time wearing makeup. Just, it was funny. And anyway, like I said, for Inverno, I was trying to make her outfit still have some, like, yellow and purple in it to kind of match up with Estate and Primavera, but I didn't want it to be too empowering, so I made it very, very subtle, like a very pale morning yellow and the most palest of purplish colors. And I also put a little bit of green flecks in the ice crystals to make it look like it was kind of reflecting light. I do like Inverno's tutu a lot, just that it didn't quite look like what I was hoping to, but I did kind of turn it around, so it did end up saving it, and it looked a lot better afterwards. Yay! I think if I could have done anything different with them, but in the end I am kind of glad. Like, my original plan was to probably make each one of them, I'm trying to figure out how to word it. I was trying to make each one of them look parallel to each other, but also unique. And I think if the one thing I would have done to really emphasize that was to make them in more different poses. Like, I wish I kind of done a little bit of a different pose for, but then again, I mean, I guess it does that and make it pretty balanced, because Inverno's, I didn't do the beginning sketch. I skipped that, which is another reason why the clipstudiopaint drawing says that this drawing took longer than the recorded one is because I forgot. It's just simple as that. I forgot, and also the fact that it was like, this video is already going to be long enough, so I just skipped the very beginning sketch part. But her arm was originally way up there, but I lowered it a little bit because my brother said it would look better. Nora said it would look more balanced that way, and I do think it does look nice. And yeah, it's still pretty high, but that's also just because Inverno is much more higher than Primavera. A lot taller. And no, you are not imagining things. Inverno's skin is chalk white, like cold stone marble white. And that was an idea that I had ever since I first made her back in 2016. And the moment I did that with her, white hair, literal white skin, I knew for Primavera, I would want her to have very rosy, warm skin and bright red hair. And that would be very interesting considering she's supposed to be Chinese. And then for Estate, I knew that I really wanted to try dark skin with golden, bright, almost electric blonde hair. And yeah, it just looked really, really pretty. Like, even though the drawing looks crap, I'm still very pleased with the original design aesthetic. And then poor Autumn, she got nothing going on with her. Primavera, she got bright red hair. And Verne, she got the chalk white skin and white hair. Estate, she got the golden bright blonde hair. And Autumn got nothing. She got nothing. Her hair is normal and her skin's normal. Nothing changed with her. But I guess that's kind of the point, is the fact that she does look the most normal, but she's also the one who's probably the most powerful out of all of them. I didn't really go into their powers. So for Winter, Inverno, her powers would be, of course, ice, so snow, ice, and the final trump that she can do is freeze time, because ice freezing just, it seems natural to me. I don't know why. And then for Primavera, she controls plants and flowers, herbs, all that, and she can also heal people. And then for Estate, she can control thunder, lightning, and fire. And I wasn't sure if I was going to give her any other powers, but those would be the bases. Although she can do varying things with them, that would seem like unnatural. Like she can even like electrically charge regular people to like give them energy through that way. And then Autumn, her powers are decaying. So like think Tomura Shigaraki and balance. She can basically swap energy from one person to make it balanced with another person. It's a little more to it. And then finally, for Antonio himself, his job as the conductor is to, well, conduct them. He uses his powers to keep all the girls' powers in perfect harmony and in sync, and also make them in sync with the environment. And there's some more stuff to it, but I'm not really going to get into the details because I want to save a few things in case I do decide to make this a story, and I want some surprises, because, yeah. And like I said, I was very happy with his design. I was probably most inspired off of Brian Roscoe, what he looked like when he was younger, from the anime Gothic. That was a huge inspiration for his design. And also the character Dennis from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V, if anyone remembers what he looks like. That was another inspiration. And like I said, for the colors, I decided that they would be very coordinated with the four girls, so yellow, green, red, and blue incorporated throughout. And I think they look very nice, and it was just really fun to color. I used very textured paint brushes, going for maximum paintedly style, as I like to say, and I wanted to keep everything look very bright and colorful, but not intimidating. I wanted to keep everything very non-intimidating. These are probably not the right words, like, at all. One thing that definitely helps is doing the background first. Doing the background before I color the characters is definitely a big help, because sometimes by the time I'm done coloring the characters, I'm just like, I don't want to do the background. I don't want to do the background. I'm too tired to do the background. So doing the background definitely helps. And yeah, like I said, I'm probably going to, yeah, there you go. I'm going back and adding the extra little details. But besides that, that was pretty much the drawing. I know we still got a little bit of time left, but I'm pretty much out of things to say. So I shall end it off early. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are still here, if you like, do all the YouTube things. If you do not, thank you for watching this far anyway. It means a lot to me either way. I will be back with another one, hopefully real soon, because this drawing took a lot of time, and I ended up getting behind because it was very time consuming. So hopefully I can get back on track to my made up schedule. And if not, then we'll just bang our head against the computer desk until otherwise. Until then, bye!